Welcome to the Scotty P podcast. Today I have Jeremy Mahon, head coach and owner of War Training Center. And dude, I'm really glad to have you on. Thank you for taking the time.
Cool, man. No, it's awesome to be over here.
Yeah, you're super busy. The gym's full, so you got a lot going on. You were just telling me how you got the holidays going on, and you're you have one of the most active gyms in all of Houston as far as like MMA fighters, Jiu Jitsu competitors. Yeah, so kind of tell me what's going on with the gym lately.
Man, this is actually like a really busy season. We just finished our last MMA fights for like 2 weeks ago, I think, and we don't have anything else coming up till January with those. But we're right in the middle of wrestling season with the high schoolers.
Oh, dang.
And we have a huge wrestling program. I mean, we have like 50 plus kids in our high school wrestling program, club, and they're all competing like right now with high school, including my daughter is a sophomore, competes in wrestling. So we're constantly at wrestling, matches. I was at duels last night, and they even have stuff over the Christmas break coming up. So,
dang.
Even though we get to step back from the MMA, we're still hit with the wrestling, and I don't think there's any more jiu-jitsu stuff going on, but there's always something every weekend.
Yeah, you got the Elevate card in January, so
yeah,
everyone's pretty much staying busy.
Yeah, I think we have a couple on that one too. So
yeah, I saw some posters up out there.
Yeah.
I'll be on the card as well. I'll be commentating and I'll also be competing.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so I'm super stoked. Yeah, man. So if you want to just kind of give everyone a kind of like an overview of how you came to martial arts.
I didn't come to martial arts until the last few years ago, right? I've been involved in combat sports now for over 20 years, and always considered myself like a fighter, and everything was about like fighters to me. And these last few years, man, I've really had a shift, and I've started seeing myself as a martial artist, and that's just kind of changed my perspectives on things in life and just the way I saw stuff. When I started seeing things more through the lens of a martial artist and not a fighter. And so yeah, as far as martial arts for me, I'd say only like the last 5 or 6 years. Even though I've been training and doing stuff for much longer than that.
Tell me if I'm correct here. You started fighting when you joined the military?
No, I really started fighting like soon after getting out of the military.
Gotcha.
Right. So I think I had a couple like little boxing match smokers when I was in the military, and then started fighting kickboxing here in Texas, like 2005, and kickboxed for a while. And then at the time, they didn't have amateur MMA here in Texas yet. It was like right before they did it. So if you wanted to fight MMA at the time, you had to fight pro. And so I went pro to fight MMA. And, once you do that, you can't go back in combat sports. And at the time, and up until very recently, there was no pro kickboxing Muay Thai fights here in Texas.
Right.
And so by jumping prematurely into MMA, it kind of stopped me from being able to do kickboxing, which is what I was really passionate about at the time. But it derailed that. And so, through the years, I was able to compete once as a pro Muay Thai here in Houston for a card. I want to say this was like 2010, 2011, so I fought 7 times as an amateur, and in a matter of like a year and a half, and then only once as a pro, and so yeah, I kind of wish I'd have stuck that out longer and continued to do kickboxing. And then they ended up doing amateur MMA here within 6 to 8 months after I did my pro debut. They started having amateur fights here in Texas.
Dang.
So I just missed it by just a little while,
Yeah, it sucks how that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you join the military?
I joined the military in the end of '99, so right before, before the new millennium, before 2000 and everything. I've been out of high school for about a year and a half, maybe, something like that. I don't know. I wasn't a great student, and really wasn't being that great of a person, and just kind of going down a route that was going to get me in trouble. It was already starting to get me in trouble, and I had friends that were getting in trouble. And so, yeah, one day the Marines just seemed like the thing to do. I never looked at going into the military as a kid, really. I was always very interested in like Rambo and shit. I think like growing up, Rambo was one of my, one of my all-time heroes. We play that all the time. But I wasn't thinking like, this is something I'm gonna, go and do. And then my godfather's a Marine. And he's really the one that, not to say he pushed me into it, but he would, he's definitely the biggest influence that got me there, He would, he'd always tell me shit like, you think you're fucking tough. He's like, you're just a punk, like, join, you really want to fight someone, you want to carry guns, join the Marines, don't, stop doing dumb shit. And, I always looked up to him. So when the option, when that became like an option for me, that was really like the only one. So, I went to the Marines in the end of 99. And especially, like I said, because of the way I went in, I wasn't looking ever to make it a career. So that was never something I was thinking like, I'm going to retire out of here, In hindsight, that probably would have been a good option. I would have already been retired by now. But, also me and my personality and the things I was already doing in the Marines, I'm sure I would have been dead by now. Yeah. So, everything, I'm a big believer like that the universe will work itself out, and in the end, everything plays out the way it's supposed to play out. So, I wouldn't be doing any of the stuff I'm doing now, even if I had survived that whole time to retirement. So, yeah, 99 though, to answer your question. So a long time ago.
How long were you in?
Just 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, I was in for 4 years, and then I got out of the Marines, and I came back here to Houston. I went to school for a little while, and had some friends that were, well, a lot of my friends, from the Marines were still over there. Like, they were already back in Iraq on their second deployment there, and so they were already back, in the fights. I was still talking with some of them, corresponding, and then a couple of the other guys that I got out with, they had already gone back overseas and were being like security contractors, and they're like, dude, what are you doing in school? Like, we're making money out here and, having a time of our lives. So I went back over and worked overseas as a contractor for a couple of years. I was in Baghdad and Fallujah for most of that 2.5 years. So all in all, I've got almost 3 years of like living in Iraq. And when I got out of that, that's when kickboxing kind of opened itself up for me. I'm an adrenaline junkie and I love chaos. I love excitement. I love fighting. I love explosions. I love feeling my blood pressure, elevate and getting that adrenaline rush. And so kickboxing seemed cool. It was something I could do and kind of feel that, like I said, I'd done a little bit of boxing stuff before, so I knew that you could experience that same rush through combat sports. Right. I wrestled in high school for a year, but even now I don't get that same. It's a different feeling when you're punching each other. 100%, punching each other in the face is a different feeling. So yeah, I found that rush there, and just fell in love with it, and then fell in love with the training of it. Kickboxing and MMA training, so I even lumped Jiu Jitsu in with that. Wrestling. Any other sports, I've played sports my whole life and never enjoyed practice. Practice always sucks. Playing games is fun, but practice always sucks. But like combat sports training, I enjoy training as much as I enjoy competing in it. Yeah. Like, I love the training aspect of it. Yeah. And so I just became obsessed with it, man. And I've been pretty much obsessed with this since like around 2005. 2007, I opened up my first gym and was able to start with a lot of sacrifice, doing it full time from then. And so from 2007 on, I haven't had a regular job. I haven't, all I've been is in the gym, coaching, fighting, running a gym. Yeah. And, great decision.
Living the life.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, man, there's so much to take from what you just said. But yeah, the satisfaction of hitting someone, it definitely is way better than jiu-jitsu, especially like when someone's, kind of being annoying and you got to put it on them a little bit. They'll like tap early in jiu-jitsu, it's like, yeah, you can't really get them that well when you're grappling. But when you're striking, man, being able to slide right outside their punches and then just tag them in the face is a pretty amazing feeling.
Yeah, man, I'm a big fan of body shots, especially especially in the gym. So there's really like no better way than to just attack their body, while they're in there and pick shots on them. And sitting someone down from a body shot is like one of the most gratifying feelings in the world.
I haven't been able to do that, but
it's very gratifying. When they take a knee and just like look at you, and it's like, yeah, you're still conscious, but you'd rather be unconscious right now.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna tell my coach, I need a good body shot.
You'd rather be unconscious right now.
Right? Hell yeah, man, that's funny. And then so, yeah, man, you kind of brought it up in the conversation, but it was the next thing that I was thinking was, that when you spend a lot of time deploying and doing, you know, high intensity training and action, you almost like get a crave for it. Like regular life just isn't going to cut it anymore. I only had one deployment. I did a West Pacific deployment with a Marine Expeditionary Unit in 2011. We did counter piracy off the coast of Somalia. And yeah, so that was, you know, very small compared to you being over in Baghdad in Iraq, but it's still that same thing. It's like, you know, you're doing real badass shit. You can't go home and do normal ass shit. You can't be sitting in an office.
No, you can't go back to it.
Yeah.
It's like once you've done, I think it's Hemingway has like a quote that I love, and I'm gonna totally fuck this up, but it's something like once you've hunted man, like there's like no other hunting will suffice, right? There's nothing like it.
Shit.
And it's just it's true, you know. Once you've like found those like ultimate adrenaline like rushes, like you're gonna constantly like search for that, but you never, you know, you'll never completely find what you're looking for there, you know. So it's just like like it's like a constant thing still, you know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, my girl, she works for like these private events and doing these hosts for these billionaires and stuff, and they literally just like get driven around and hunt animals, but it's like they're being driven around. They got guides. They got like it's all, you know, and they're getting like multiple deer, multiple quails. Like they're just like being driven around. And I'm like, man, you know, these rich people, it's not gonna satisfy what they're looking for. I was like, the next thing they know is gonna be like that movie where they're hunting people.
Which would be, it'd be cool, you know, if they pick the right, like I'd be down to be on the opposite. If you're choosing like a worthy adversary, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I think in the movie there's like a homeless dude. Have you seen the one? There's an old one with Ice-T, and he's like a homeless dude. They take and they hunt him, and it's like
one of those
you hunted some freaking old homeless dude.
Yeah, but someone who could actually
you know,
survive, escape, evade.
I've kind of stepped away from hunting like animals. I grew up hunting deer and you know, hogs. Texas, we have so many hogs, and so hog hunting, bird hunting, all that. And, you know, like the way people hunt things here, especially in Texas, right? Deer hunting in particular, like it drives me crazy. They feed these animals year round, like in a feeder, like some of them as close as like 25 yards away, right?
Yeah.
They feed them all year and they watch them on like these game cameras. And then when the season comes, they know like this deer comes every morning at 7:07 and he eats right here.
Yeah.
And, you know, then they get in their deer stand and it's all comfortable in there. And,
little heaters.
you know, they got little heaters and stuff. And then they shoot a deer at 25 yards off with a high-powered rifle that has a scope on it.
Yeah.
Half the time they miss it.
Yeah.
You know, and they blame it on something like buck fever, they call it. They blame it on, like, I was so nervous, you know. And it just wasn't fun to me. So, you know, I started hunting with the AR-15. I had those like a boot camp stock version, carrying handle, like no optics on it, you know.
Yeah.
So like I'd want to be like painted up and just like walking around like flushing things out and like ambush hunting and stuff.
Yeah.
And we were doing that for a few years. My brother and I love doing that. And even now, like I've kind of even gotten away from that because that doesn't really excite me. So now I would just assume just go out in nature and like look at it. You know, I still like to try to sneak up and get close on things, but I'd rather just like observe them and kill them. You know, I'm not against hunting. I eat meat, you know, all those things, but like I just kind of lost the satisfaction from it. And like, yeah, you can eat it, but I can also eat other food too. I think it's cool and important to learn how to harvest your own and do that. There's something to be said from that. But at the same time, you know, like I've done that and I'm just kind of, I think kind of over it and don't really understand the, you know, the excitement behind at least the current modern way most people are hunting here in Texas.
Now you say that like almost about anything, right? It's like anything that kind of like gets modernized kind of become like a weak form of what it used to be.
Well, I mean, I'm sure your podcast has maybe even touched on it before, but I mean, look at Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, like this is almost laughable. Yeah. Now the styles and things I see in Jiu Jitsu, and not to say there's things that aren't effective or they're not, you know, but it's evolved into such a different type of sport that it's like, it kind of loses like what that really is, you know, like what it really is to go out and like, and to hunt and to do it, you know. I don't know, I'm sure I get a bunch of flack on that and disagreements, but, you know, there's just as many people who agree with me on that too. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. The sport has changed because it's not as self-defense, not the realism has kind of been taken out to where now people are playing like lapel guards and these weird fancy things that maybe don't really apply to like why the whole reason jiu-jitsu became what it is.
You know, man, but I guess really in the end, all that comes down to it's just a preference. What's awesome is like jiu-jitsu started, it was such a small thing, and now it's grown so much bigger that you have a lot of different people who like different things, you know. It used to just be gi, and then it was like gi against no gi, and then it, you know, and now you've got, you know, leg lockers, and you've got other people that specialize in, you know, different things. Our specialty here is more almost like catch wrestling. You know, we have a very like wrestling-based style. So,
all your guys got really good,
you know,
head and arm guillotines.
And we actually had, I'm gonna mess this up. I'm bad with numbers, but Adam, my other coach, man, he's great with keeping stats and things. And I want to say in the last year, we had 13, it was either 11 or 13 10-finger choke or ninja choke finishes.
Dude, that's hilarious.
And I think 8 of those were in MMA. Only a few of them were in like super fights. And you know. But yeah, we've kind of specialized in that, and it really just comes off of kind of the way we wrestle. Just puts us in to these positions that we're able to get, you know, certain chokes from that maybe everyone else doesn't have opportunities for.
I've trained, I came here on a Wednesday and trained with Hector. Me and Hector are pretty good friends. And yeah, and I was one of the, so I'm a leg locker. Well, actually, I would say that I like to take the back. That's my favorite, is to get to the back. But the leg lockers know me as an armbar guy, and the armbar guys know me as a leg locker.
Yeah.
But coming here, you guys all wanted to stay on top, so I went for the legs. And one of the main things I noticed was everyone went for guillotine chokes, and there were a couple that were like stupid tight. Like I had to hold my breath and spin as fast as I could. But it's always interesting to see when you go to a gym, like how you can tell, one, that a gym is really good when all the grapplers are making like the same decisions. Like they're not just doing random stuff. They're actually like, you can tell they're like applying a system. And then yeah, I just noticed that one, that all your fighters took the top position. If they could get on top, they got on top, which, you know, says so much about y'all's MMA program. And then they were all attacking the neck, and they were using that to get back on top.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something we're big on drilling. You know, we drill these positions and these things over and over and over till we get it. You know, it's cool you recognize that as a system. I don't think a lot of schools have a system.
Right.
You know. And I think you can tell a lot about how competitive a team it really is, because you're not going to have a good competition team without a system. No successful organization just runs like eyes closed, shotgun blast in the night. That's not how it works.
Stuff.
Right? You've got to be very systematic about it. And so, you know, we have our system, and then it's constantly having to evolve because of other people's systems and how they're evolving. You know, a huge part of what we've had to work on is, you know, like, is leg lock defenses and just being anti that, because that's such a huge part of everyone else's system now. If you neglect that, you know, just because that's not what you guys, you know, are known for, then you're going to get caught in those a whole lot, you know. So we've learned to try, you know, ways to hide our legs and attack, you know, attacking the neck is a pretty good threat, you know. And it's cool because then you know, like your guys' school, y'all go back and you figure out how to adapt that and how to beat our guys, you know, again. And then we're trying to like, okay, well, how do we get that? You know, how do we get that one back? Our professor, Renan Chavez, he's like the head of our you know, jiu-jitsu program. He just was in town a couple of weeks ago from Peru, and we did a seminar here, and he was kind of explaining like what our game is here, you know. And it was really cool at the beginning of the seminar, just to kind of see someone kind of lay out, you know, what the style of jiu-jitsu we have is, you know, being you know, obviously we're very top pressure oriented, you know, we pass the guard, you know, our system is based off of Kimura traps for offense, for defense, for sweeps, for just about anything, you know, you could imagine we use Kimuras for. You know, we know how to use the guard, but we choose to use the guard to get back to the feet or to get back on top, you know. So you know, it's a different game than other schools, you know, may have. What I like about ours is we've designed it for MMA. Everything we do at this gym is very MMA based, but at the same time, MMA is so liberal in the rule set that our style becomes functional for just about every style of grappling, right? If a self-defense situation comes in, our grappling system works nice. There was an altercation a couple years back at a Third Coast Grappling where myself and one of our other grapplers got into it with another school, and I'll just leave it like at that. But it turned into like a bigger situation, so it ended up being like a nice little rumble. And I was over there, and somehow I was on my back, and man, I used our dog guard sweep, got right up into that top position, started landing elbows. It worked out great, and it's in a true self-defense situation against other people that knew jiu-jitsu.
Dang.
You know?
Yeah,
and so that was really cool to to see that. Our style, it works in a gi, even though it doesn't involve a whole lot of usage of the gi. That's something else I'm kind of firm and believe on is you can be a black belt here and not have a whole lot of gi chokes, right? But when you go with someone in a gi, you have to know how to defend those chokes, and you still have to know how to apply our submissions and our system to them. Yep. So we still do a lot of our no-gi game in the gi, and I do require, like, before you get your black belt and stuff like that, they do work in the gi, just because I don't like ever hearing that come up, like, well, you guys only do no-gi. Yep. So by the time they get their purple belts, I started just, hey, you got to wear the gi, once a week, whatever, come in here, do this. And I just want to make sure that what you're doing still applies, is applicable even in the gi,
Yeah.
And then obviously the style works for no gi too. With the other stuff. What's really cool is this. We're finding out we've had a couple opportunities to do catch wrestling matches this last year. We've won those. Madison actually won a belt doing catch wrestling against a very game accomplished jiu-jitsu opponent, but she didn't do anything different than our normal style in here every day.
Right.
And she was able to dominate with it, with a total different rule set. So no, I'm really proud of the system that we've developed here and just kind of how we implement it. And I love the challenge, especially in a pure grappling setting, to be able to to take that out there and compete, whether it's myself or our other grapplers here, just against other schools and others, and just see, how it stacks up, and what little changes we need to make it better. But
yeah, it cracks me up that you guys got into a brawl at Third Coast Grappling and started throwing elbows. Must have been a pretty serious brawl.
Yeah, it was pretty.
That's funny.
It was pretty serious.
I trained at a Sarah Academy in Myrtle Beach, so I'm Matt Sarah affiliation, and my coach was Matt Sarah's main training partner when he was ranked #1 in the world at grappling and won the UFC belt, and so he always said the same thing. He said, if your jiu-jitsu is more no-gi based, it'll work gi and no-gi. No-gi grips work in both cases. Yes. He said, if you focus too much on the gi, you're going to feel useless if you ever have to do no-gi. And we were one of the few schools at the time that we did a half and half split, and it leaned heavily towards no-gi. So we had 4 days of the week that we did no-gi and 3 days of the week that we did gi. So even then, most schools only have the one day, like the Wednesday no-gi or whatever, sometimes Tuesday, Thursday. So I still got a lot of reps in no-gi, but that was like a main philosophy as well as, master and MMA fighters, like we get on top. We're not, playing on bottom is fun, and it's very, seductive. It's like, man, I like being, it's fun to pull the weaker position and still win.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can use it to stall, to catch your breath, especially at a high level. I can lay on my back all day, but I'm just on my back.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The end of it, I'm on my back. If someone was wanting to hit me with an elbow or something, they could.
Right. Right.
Dude, there's a video. I'm sure you've seen it with Matt Sarah.
Yep.
Right. That's a prime example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's implementing his jiu-jitsu in a real world scenario where he just held this dude down and just embarrassed him for I don't remember, but it seemed like 5 minutes or more possibly.
Yeah.
And then even the police were kind of confused that this guy is holding him down that easily. Is this a real situation even? But the guy he wasn't going anywhere,
Yeah.
And that's funny too, because there's, you always have this age old gi, no gi debate, which one is superior. I definitely lean on the no gi side of that, just for the fact of, again, you can apply it anywhere, and you hear the argument of, well, in the real world, people wearing clothes and this and that. Well, if you've ever had your shirt pulled on, it rips often. So unless they're wearing heavy jackets, a lot of those things aren't going to hold up. And I know someone's going to send me some videos where someone did it, but in general, If we were both gonna grapple to settle that, and I was like, well, you wear your gi and I'll go no gi. You're like, well, no, man, that's not fair because you can grab me and I can't. I was like, well, then you just answered the debate.
Yeah.
You know, like you just answered it in that. You know, I've heard that every time I bring that up. Well, why don't you do a match where it's like no gi, and if they want to wear their gi, they wear their gi. Like, well, no, it's not fair because in no gi you don't have the stuff to grab, and with the gi they can grab. It's like, well, then it's better. Because there's advantages to it that aren't there the other way.
You probably don't know this guy's name's Emil Fisher. He's pretty popular on Instagram. He's one of the head coaches of I think he runs Strong Style MMA up in Ohio, and he's a very like out there character. He likes to wear like unicorn stuff and kind of just be a spectacle. And he went to ADCC and wore gi with the intention of being able to like grab his jacket because you can grab your own material and they can't grab yours. And so he thought he might have some inherent advantage. Well, he got a really bad matchup. He was going against a guy that I know from the East Coast. They call him Squatch. He's like 6'6", 280 pounds. Yeah, just a huge mongoloid of a man. And he got him on the round, and he Under Armour dog bar, right, where you just like in the half guard position, grab the waist, grab the knee, and then just slide your hips down and put him in a knee bar. And just did right to him. And the gi pants pretty much trapped his leg inside. So it was like got the complete opposite.
You know, it's like I feel too. Our system of kimuras, it actually works better in a gi. Like if you're wearing the gi and I catch my kimura on you, like you'll not get your arm back. I can promise you that. Like, no gi, it's possible, you know, maybe like you're sweaty and you're strong and you shave your arms and it's just like you're having a lucky day or something, maybe. But in a gi, like once I got your arms snatched up like that, you know, the friction's there. And so, you know, that even something we train here, even like with the girls, because we have like a lot of girls on our MMA team too, like our women's team. And when they fight MMA, they're wearing, you know, rash guard, sports bra, something. Right, so they have more material. So there's certain things that slide out a little easier when it's when it's the guys because they're shirtless and But you know with the ladies they do have some kind of material. So you know, I'm always telling them use that. Try to take advantage of the fact you can create some friction in certain areas that you know any little advantages help. You know, and so if you can somehow use that to your advantage, you know, so I think it would be better. You know, it's probably why most of them prefer to fight like in the sports bra as opposed to, you know, like a full rash guard because you have way more friction like that.
Yeah, and then I really appreciate y'all's style, and I definitely like the idea of you know, the MMA style and no gi grappling. You know, because what you see a lot of times is people are just chilling on their side, and I yell at my guys. I'm like, get on top, get on top, get on top. It's like, guys, we're never on our knees. It's like if I have to pull half guard, I like half guard on the bottom. I think full guard's a little bit silly. And
our system is half guard. So top half guard I think is the supreme position for fighting. It trumps any other position in fighting. In my opinion, I mean the back techs are great. Top half guard, I can pin you with my legs, beat you with my hands, still have submissions.
Khabib style.
And even bottom half guard is, you know, I prefer bottom half guard as to full guard.
That's the full guard.
Yeah.
I'm same way. I'm like, hey guys, I understand the full guard, and if you can be deadly from there, that's great, but it's way harder to get up. And if at least in half guard, one of your legs is on the ground, it's going to be easier for you to pull your leg out and get on top. But yeah, you know, it just, again, when you focus just jiu-jitsu, it can be tempting to where you develop this like bad habit of just like, just pull the half guard. And I'm constantly on my guys like, hey, no, we don't just pull half guard. If there's an opportunity for us to wrestle up, to get on top, we take it every time. On top, like you said, on top, half guard, top side control, that's the best position to be in.
Yeah, totally agree.
Anyway, so, yeah, man, we talked about your military career. We talked about how you started your fighting. I want to get more into you being a coach and owner now, but one last thing I want to bring up, because you still compete. You just competed recently at the Combat Sports Coverage and won the Masters title, man, and it was a war. You guys went after it.
That was against Mike Tran.
A
He's
beast.
very, yeah, man, he's strong.
I see him at the gym doing
My
pull-ups and stuff. He's
my
still getting
trend is
after it.
strong, man.
Yeah. I literally, I saw him, I thought I saw him one day and I was like, is that Mike Trent? Is that Lifetime? And then I saw the video later on Instagram. It was him. He was just banging out pull-ups. So he's still hustling.
I'll give that to him. Only two people at my size I've ever competed against that I felt like they were stronger than me: Daniel Pineda, Mike Trent.
Yeah.
Only two
Yeah.
times I've ever felt like out-muscled at my own weight.
Right.
The thing though with Trent and you know, this was 100% like our strategy going in, and it's always my strategy when it comes to super fights. Is I just want to wear you out. I just want to tire you out. The longer we can stay on the feet and hand fight, wrestling exchanges, the happier I am. You know, just tire you out, and then you can go for it more at the end once you've got them tired out. And so, man, the first time Mike and I locked up, he was noticeably stronger than me. I would say by, you know, maybe the second time we really kind of got into it, I felt like, all right, we're getting a little bit closer to where I'm stronger, you know, or like more equal. And then there was a point where I was able to get on top of him and was working a system with Kimura, armbar, Americana, wrist lock system. And I was able to kind of tire him out there. And after that, I felt like the tides had finally turned. And it wasn't necessarily that I was stronger at that point, as I said, he had kind of, you know, gassed out a little bit from just the muscle fatigue that was being required for the position. So, you know, it worked out. I'm sure his wrist was broken.
Oh, dang.
He's so tough. You know, we're just jiu-jitsu, like, that's crazy because we're both like faces are this far away from each other. Like, I'm trying to break his wrist and I'm like looking in his eyes and he's fighting into looking, you know, and we're just like staring at each other for what felt like forever, man. And, you know, so it was, man, he didn't tap. I didn't win by wrist lock. You know, I ended up winning in overtime with takedown. And that's kind of that format, that rule set works really well with our system here, our style. You know, we have good wrestling, and I always feel like I'm gonna win that every time. That's how I won the other one for Sub 100 Pro against Chad Robichaux too. Went to a distance, you know, he shot in, was able to stuff it, roll him, end up on top. You know, I think it's something that strategically, you know, we're able to work in there. But you know, I still like to compete. Since that match, I've had an ACL reconstruction. I want to say now I'm like 7 months after that. So I'm kind of getting back on the mats, right? And I was still having these problems in my hip, and I thought it was sciatica. And I went and got it checked out, and I've got a torn labrum in my hip.
Oh, damn.
Which is going to, at some point, require another surgery. The doctor told me it's not going to get any worse. It's already torn. So basically, it's like quality of life, you know, like what are you willing to deal with pain-wise? And, you know, and I mean, to be honest, I'm just coming off that other surgery, and I've been sick a few times in the last years. And with the gym and the fight team, I just don't have time for surgery right now. So I'm trying to rehab it as best as possible, build some muscle up around it. I've stopped doing activities that were really like agitating it. And, you know, I'm gonna have to just try to be smart here for the next, you know, I'm thinking at least probably 2-3 years before I can make the time to have that surgery. And so I'm just, you know, that doesn't throw competition off the table, you know, just depending on what it is. I would like to box sometime next year.
Oh, dang.
Strangely, boxing is like the one thing I can do right now. I can just like kind of forward, back, you know, movement. Seems to work pretty good for me, and there's no one pulling on my legs or any of that. So, you know, boxing was like the first thing that I competed with. So maybe I'll be able to kind of come back to that here towards the end. But one of our fighters and just a good friend of mine here, literally, man, the same. I want to say this was the day after my surgery on my ACL. I got a call from one of my fighters that morning, Jeremy Dotson, and we're friends outside of the gym, but usually it's going to be a text message or something, right? Like, he's rarely going to call me, let alone like at like 8 in the morning, you know? So he called me, and I answered it. I'm like, "What's up, man?" And he's just like, "Coach," he's like, lost my leg. I'm like, fuck do you mean you lost your leg? You know, like, where's your leg? And he's like, you know, got in a wreck. And he was on a motorcycle and he got hit by a driver on the freeway in traffic at that, sitting in traffic on the freeway, hit by a big truck, takes his leg off. He's got this, you know, I mean, I'm sure he's gonna end up writing books or movie, but the whole thing's like, you know, it's a crazy story and it's still unfolding for him because this, you know, that was just like a chapter of it that you know, in his life. But I was contemplating at that time, literally, when he called me, like, should I take this day off and just sit on my ass, you know, because I had surgery 2 days ago, or should I get my ass back in the gym and start, you know, trying to do something? And that let me know right there, like, all right, get up, get to the gym. You know, like, it could be way worse. Like, this dude just lost his fucking leg and you're complaining about, you know, a surgery 2 days ago. And, you know, so I was able to go to the gym, sit there and, you know, I don't know, I did some kind of little workout, but it was just, you know, more for the mind. And then Jeremy has, his rehabilitation has gone great. I went and saw him like a couple days later. He was already, you know, shadowboxing in the hospital with one leg. It wasn't safe. It was gross. I was like, sit down, dude. What's wrong with you? As soon as he could come back and start training with us, as soon as it started, like, the skin started healing up, man, he was back on the mats doing jiu-jitsu with us. And about 2 weeks ago, he finally got his prosthetic put on. He's already ran 3 miles, which I still can't do because of this damn labrum. He's already been jogging. He's already been back in sparring at the gym with the fighters, which I can't do either yet. And I'm not gonna say can't, I'm just like, I guess it's being a pussy about it, you know? And so something Jeremy and I had been talking about though already before the incident, the accident, was that we were gonna box, you know? We were gonna box after my surgery. And so now it's even more so. Like, okay, well, now we have to do this. Like, I told you you're gonna do it, you told me you're gonna do it. So this next year, man, we're gonna start, you know, training and already are training, but start looking for something. And you know, both plan to do some kind of boxing here in this next year. So
Dude,
I guess still competing, you know.
yeah. I love that story, dude. Man, I literally just kind of go through the same experience. I went to ADCC Austin and competed, and I get hurt a lot. I'm 32, had 7 years in the Corps. I've been doing martial arts for 12 years, so it's like really like I've just been getting hurt all the time, and so I'm still learning like how to function and how to work with my body. And I was literally telling people all morning, all day that I'm gonna take a break from competing. So I've been doing all the ADCCs, had a really busy schedule, and I've had to miss some from injury, but anyone that I can make, I've made it. And I've just been telling people I was gonna take a break. I was like, man, yeah, the podcast is really what makes me happy. I think the competing is too stressful. I think I'm gonna take a break. And after I got done competing and I'm getting ready to leave, I see a Savage brown belt, Savage blue belt competing. His name's Brock Wagner, like 17, just homeschooled, like does everything jiu-jitsu, just a savage. And he's on someone's back trying to finish the choke. And I just remember thinking like, oh, that guy's screwed. And he ends up not getting the tap. And I walk over there to see who it is. And it's someone who wasn't able to use their arms or their legs. He was on his knees. And yeah, he was able to survive against Brock, who's an absolute monster. He trains at Fight Factory, so he trains like William, the Tackett brothers, you know, all these savages. And this dude still survived. And it just like struck in me as like, dude, you're gonna take a break. You have the ability to compete, and you're not going to. Like, what is wrong with you? This dude is willing to step out there and I said something to him. I gave him a hug. I was like, dude, that is amazing. That is badass that you're willing to go out there and fight.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have way less than everyone else. And I've had that experience multiple times where I'll feel really stressed out about the competition, or like my hands will be sweating, and then I'll see someone, you know, competing that is missing a leg. Or there's a black belt that competes a lot. He only has like he doesn't have a hand, and it's like a club almost, and he still get out there and gets wins at the ADCC Opens and does combat jiu-jitsu. And it's just like my whole being literally is no longer nervous. It's like, dude, you're working with way more. How could you stress out about a grappling match when this dude is fighting for his life? I saw one guy, he couldn't use either one of his hands, and he was in a guillotine, and he still got out. And it was just like, yeah, it just like tells my heart.
How's it even possible?
Right. Yeah, dude. And it just tells me it's like if you're able to compete, you're gonna compete. And it's like so I'm super excited to get back out there and you know, continue to use my body for as long as I can. So guys like you, it's like I want to be like
Yeah.
you where I'm
You
head
know,
coach of a gym
we've just
competing.
always had that, like, I've always had this, like, till the wheels fall off mentality, you know?
Yes,
And
yes.
it's like, when it's done, it'll be done, and then there's no going back to doing it. You know,
Yep.
like when you physically can't anymore, then you can't.
Yep.
And you're gonna have so much, you know, so much regret for that. And, you know, if you can do it, do it. I'm 44. And, you know, other than some physical things that are breaking me down, you know, like I still physically, you know, feel great. You know, your technique only gets better with time. You
Right,
know, like
right.
my technique in grappling and in striking and everything. My techniques are better than they've ever been. They're sharper than ever. Um, you know, I think what starts to happen, I've started noticing, aside from my injuries, is as I am slowing down a little bit. You know, there's a lot of times where my brain is functioning way faster than my body is
Yep.
reacting to it.
Yep.
And but that's just another challenge, right? So I just have to reevaluate what I'm doing, like, you know, my moves,
Hmm.
and just make it where it's going to work like that, where I don't have to have like my reactions don't have to be as fast. Well, maybe you know, I'm not sure how I want to do that yet,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
you know, there's times where like say, oh, this now we're more out of a clinch situation then, where I've already got my hands on you, then it doesn't matter that you're faster than me
Right,
because
right.
we're already locked up.
Yep.
You know, so it's just kind of adapting it, you know, a little
Yeah.
bit.
I've definitely experienced how it's like jujitsu can kind of get repetitive, especially when you know, you're a level ahead of most people and you're beating them. It's like the universe challenges you by giving you an injury. And I've like hurt my wrist and I've had to learn how to grapple without using my right hand, or I've messed a knee up and I have to use my opposite side half guard to keep my knee protected. And it's like my game develops way further because of the injuries. So it's
You
always
know,
nice.
I'm going through like with jujitsu right now, kind of a weird phase, and I think it started from injuries, right? From coming back from injuries and having to like just work out of a certain position, or like, hey, let's do this, and people taking it easy on me and knowing that I'm going maybe lighter or whatnot. And so now I'm in this weird like jujitsu phase where I'm not looking to submit people. I'm not. We'll do like 10 round Tuesday. I roll 10 rounds and I won't submit anyone. I don't even go for submissions. I'm just like rolling with them, enjoying like positions and putting people in places and seeing where their mind's at and what they're looking to do from there. Um, I've always like prided myself in defense, whether it's, you know, boxing, kickboxing, you know, grappling. And so, you know, just like giving some of these people opportunities to see how they could work a finish against, you know, a black belt. You know, generally, like if you're, say, a blue belt, you're going against higher level guys, purples, browns, they're just smashing you.
Yep, yep.
They're not saying like, I wonder what this guy's got from here, because he's never had a black belt's back.
Right,
You
right,
know, so
right.
like, all right, let them take the back and see where they go from there. You know, or you know, they give them a mount and like, we got 4 minutes left. Let's just see what they do. Or if they freak out and just half the time they get so confused at why I'm not doing anything that they just sit there, and they also don't do anything. No, like attack. You know, do something. I'm not that I'm like letting you work, but I'm letting you work. Like we're going. I'm just you know, for whatever reasons, I'm just not even looking to sub. I'm just enjoying really just being grateful, I guess, is being back on the mats, like, and being able to do things on the mats again has been so much fun that I haven't even really felt the competitive urge on it
Right,
again. You know, it's
right.
just been like, dude, I'm just like, I thought I wasn't gonna be back out here again. You know, after every surgery or every time I get sick, I've got something wrong with me. The military has a diagnosis, Crohn's disease, but I'm pretty sure it's something else that's more Iraq related. But
Mm.
I've been getting sick every year, every couple of years, you know, where I go like, dude, I'm bedridden. I'm like 30, 40 pounds lost. So very similar to the stuff that goes on with Gordon Ryan, like a very similar situation. And so the first time it happened, you know, I mean, I was hospitalized. I thought I was going to die from that. They
Yeah.
had to do an emergency surgery on my foot because I had like this autoimmune thing going, and the infection was so bad, like I almost lost my foot. And uh, I got sick again last year, and it was, you know, not quite as severe, but bad like that. And then right after that is when I had the surgery on my ACL. So I think, you know, maybe just coming back now and like, I'm just in such a different place, like, you know, and appreciate it differently. And so, yeah, if you want to roll me and not get submitted, now's probably a pretty good time. I'm not even trying.
Yeah, yeah. And there's this funny meme that is exactly what you're saying, where it's like how black belts get on top, and he essentially lets the guy pass and take his back, and then he just like escapes the back attack, and he's like on
Absolutely,
top.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I wrestle with these guys, like I can't take them down. They're way too fast. So I shoot like a real shitty double or single, and they sprawl on top, and then I work from that position and end up there. I was like, I'm not going to be able to to do this. I'm going to try.
Right. Okay, so man, I love your story. I knew that we would have a lot to talk about, and I'm really happy I'm getting to know you more. But just for the audience, I kind of want to ask you like some advice questions. And in my perspective, you've achieved something that a lot of people want in life. Like you said, you haven't had a real job since 2006. It's like that. I feel like is the main essence of what everyone wants, is to be able to live a life doing what they love. And you've accomplished that. You've accomplished at a high level. War is known. You guys are at all the competitions. It's like you guys are pretty much a staple in Houston, and you're still getting after it at 44 years old, head coach, all these injuries. So I just really want to ask you, do you have any advice for maybe someone looking to train MMA or maybe start taking an MMA fight?
Man, the biggest advice I'd have, like if you're really getting serious about MMA, is get your life together first. Right?
Yeah.
Get your shit together first.
Yeah.
Because so many dudes come in and I want to be a fighter. Okay, well, first off, half the time they have no martial arts training to begin with. So you're starting raw. So at that point, I explained to them it's mixed martial arts. You have to know martial arts to do mixed martial arts. So you need to be in our programs where all of ours are geared towards MMA. So it's a great place to start,
Right.
But what I mean, get your life straight is like, have a good situation, a good job is the main thing, right? A stable job, because training's not free. It's not free. It's not the most expensive thing on your budget, but it's you have to have that stable lifestyle to where you can come in, make consistency in the gym, right? So find yourself a job where you can make consistency in your training, and those are probably like the two main things.
Yeah.
It's probably not your typical advice on that, but man, get a job and get one that allows you to train consistently at the times that the fight teams or whatever, are training.
Yeah.
And that's really the biggest one.
Man, dude, that's really good. That is really good. Yeah. One of the number one things that people will tell me is, I'm sure you had the countless blue belts. Like, I want to be a world champion, or I think I'm gonna be a world champion. And I tell them every time, like, be careful when you say that, because life is gonna smack you. Like, you say you want to be a world champion. Well, the world champions have been through hell and back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you put it out there that you want to be at that level, life is gonna hit you with some serious shit that you have to
you're
deal
about to go through a different type of test.
Yeah. And almost always, like, I quit seeing them as often. Like, it's
True.
like they tell me they want to be world champion, and all of a sudden they break up with their girlfriend, or they get a girlfriend, or they get a new job, or and it's like
exactly what I'm talking about. These life situations.
Yes.
You got to get life straight first, and then and then let's also say on that too, if you really want to do it, especially you bring up like world champion, but training has to be priority.
Right.
And I'll even say, if you're just an amateur fighter, training has to be priority. Even if you're just like, hey, I don't want to go pro, because MMA isn't volleyball, right? Like, people are getting hurt in there.
Yep.
Your opponent's training to hurt you.
Yep.
And as a coach, like, I'm not sending anyone out to just get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
One, like, that's not really what I'm about, and what we do here anyways. We're trying to develop world champions. But I don't want to see anyone get hurt. So if you can't make consistency with the training and get the proper training and be ready to fight, then you don't need to be fighting, and you have to get all those things in a line first.
Yeah. You need discipline before. Yeah. MMA's not gonna teach you discipline unless it's really bad. But yeah, just like you're saying, also the amateur league is full of very serious amateurs who are trying to be pros. Serious. So yeah, if you might be lucky and maybe a hobbyist gets paired up against another hobbyist, but there's a really good chance that there's a savage amateur out there who trains every single day, lives in a gym, and he's willing to put you on a highlight reel.
And I would say too, and I've said this before, man, if you're in Houston, in particular, it's really bad for you, because Houston has the highest quality, most developed amateur MMA scene in the country.
Yes.
And I travel around a whole lot for fights, and I promise you, I'm not saying there's not some good amateurs coming out of other places, but as a whole, that's what we have going on here right now. And so, yeah, you get thrown in there with one of those, and they're gonna hurt you.
Yep.
And because a lot of these guys are already solid pro level fighters as amateurs. You know, we have requirements for our amateurs before you can go pro out of here. You have to be a double champ. So you have to win 2 amateur belts, you know, and if you can't be a champ as an amateur, what makes you think you're going to win as a pro?
100%.
You know,
Yep.
you have to have a certain number of fights. We put those things in there. So our amateur guys, man, they're serious.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you're just some guy who's, you know, wanting to try it out once, like, don't take the fight against my guys.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to be world champion. They're trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just what you're seriously dealing with here.
Yeah, they're not looking for you know, wins by decision or like putting you down. They're trying to put you on a highlight reel.
Yeah. Most of them are like, once, you know, we try to make it where our amateurs, by the time they're ready to go pro, they can be on a fast track to try to get to the UFC and chase their dreams.
Yeah.
So we take the time as amateurs to develop them.
Yes.
Right. And so again, like, yeah, you're fighting our amateurs, then their chances are they're very well developed. And you know, what you're gonna see here in the next couple of years is that best amateur scene is going to it's going to turn into the best pro scene. And so you're going to see most of these fighters coming out of Houston in the UFC in the next 5 years. I promise it. We just have too many good fighters. And I'm not just talking about my camp. You know, all the gyms here, you know, there's some really solid fighters coming out of Houston right now, amateurs.
I 100% agree. I go to a lot of the Fury fights, and yeah, it's unreal. I mean, the quality of the show itself, the fighters.
You often can't tell the difference between a guy making his second amateur fight to one of the guys on the main card pro, and that's no knock on the main card pro guys.
Yeah.
That's saying some of these amateurs are out there, man, they're doing it. You can't tell the difference. They already looked the part. They're already, you know, fighting at a level of that. So it's cool to see.
Yeah, one of my buddies, Sean, his Instagram handle is Sean Magnus. I think it's Sean Babbitt. Yeah, head kicked someone into oblivion on the amateur card, and I was like, it was the undercard. I was like, how is he on the undercard still?
Yeah.
Like,
this is where we're getting the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah. Man, yeah, great conversation. But I know you're super busy, so I don't want to keep you too long. I'll ask you one more question. Yeah, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's been in the game and maybe they're looking to make that transition from student to coach, or maybe student to owner? Do you have any like thing that's really resonating with you right now that you'd like to pass on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be the one to be like, don't do it, but it's hard. You know, so if it's not what you're wanting to just dedicate your life to and discipline, well, you know, I mean, there was oftentimes, you know, owning a gym early on, especially where, you know, it wasn't just me making the sacrifice, it was my family, my wife, my kids who, you know, even when they were little kids, you know, I mean, times that our electricity's cut off, you know, there's no cable in the house. We're eating like shitty meals and that kind of stuff because, you know, it's a hard business. It's a very hard business, especially if you're trying to be like an MMA, like fight coach.
Yeah.
You know,
not a lot of money being made.
There's not a lot, and only at the very high, you know, only at the top. And this is definitely a business where like you have to pay your dues. Nothing comes easy. You know, it takes time, and you just, quite frankly, early on, you don't deserve it. You haven't put in enough.
Yep.
You know, so you pay your dues, and eventually, you know, I think you get to where you're at. As a coach, I'm still, you know, relatively young. You know, I'm going to continue to do bigger and better things. And so if you were just wanting to come in as a coach and you see, excuse me, what some of the other coaches in Houston are already doing, you know, man, you just may not have seen how long we've been doing it or what kind of grind we put in to get to where we're at, you know.
100%.
It's cool as fuck to see us on TV and the UFC and stuff and looking around. It's like, man, like, we've been doing this a long time and we deserve it, you know. And I just know there's no short path, so don't be expecting a short path to it. And then if as far as just opening up like a martial arts school, you know, I think that's great too, but don't get into it for the money. There's a lot of money that could be made in it if that's the path you choose, but that's not always the path of a martial artist, and you're not always like really giving to martial arts what you should be if you're out there just looking for money on it, you know?
Yeah.
Holding people in long-term contracts and just, you know, the way the business can run, you know, I don't think it's always that great. Even if it's not the business to go in looking for like, man, I'm going to make a killing doing this. If that's what you're doing, like, you're doing it for the wrong reason. I'm not saying you couldn't make a killing doing it, but you're definitely in for the wrong reasons, you know? We impact a lot of people's lives as coaches, as martial artists, as gym owners. We impact a lot of people's lives, and that can be for positive or negative, you know? And so any chance I have to like be the light in someone's life and spread positivity to them and influence them in a positive way, you know, that's what I want to do. That's what the culture we've built with this team, gym, our team. That's what we're all about. That's what we want to do. We want to spread positivity and put that in you. And so, you know, if I would say if someone was opening up something and you were in it for the right reasons, you know, maybe take our example on that and you know, just try to be the light, man, because there's a lot of like shit out there right now. Not just in martial arts, but just, you know, in the world, there's a lot of shit. And if you can be something positive that's helping people, then I say, yeah, fucking do it, you know, especially if you're in a town or something that doesn't have this, you know. If you're not qualified, don't do it. But if you're qualified and you can go back to a smaller town or whatever, maybe where you grew up or where you were from or something and spread it back there. I don't know how much time we have, but you know, we have a gym in Belize, and we've been doing a lot of work down in Belize for the last, you know, I've been down there for almost the past 10 years, but for the last 5 or 6 years, we've had Orange Walk. That's actually, you know, the gym shirt I'm wearing here. That's one of our gyms that's there, and I have several other affiliate gyms there in Belize, Mind Over Matter Academy in San Pedro, and I have Mac Vasquez, who's a pro fighter there who's down in Southern Belize, and you know, kind of coaching all those guys and being able to spread martial arts and MMA to there, and now they're teaching it to the other kids and the people of Belize and being a positive influence on the youth there's lives. That's like my proudest moment that I have going, you know, right now is like working with them and seeing something grow there. So, you know, opening a gym or whatever doesn't even have to be here. It could be something somewhere else, you know.
Right.
Maybe you can be that influence somewhere that doesn't have it yet. So that's another option.
Man, yeah, I really appreciate what you said. Yeah, being the light for someone else, and then yeah, I think a lot of people will see like where you're at now, right? And then they're like, man, I could totally do that, and they have no idea that you put in 5, 8, 10 years of just like hustle, sweat, blood.
I mean, it sucked. I love it, right? Because I love the suck. I embrace that. That's part of like, I was a grunt, man. That's my mentality. You know, just fucking embrace that suffering. And but there was a lot of shit times. But it's like I know at the end of shit comes like that comes the light, that comes the glory. It all comes there, and like you don't get it if you don't work for it. So
that's right, man. And one last comment, 'cause I wanted to bring it up earlier, but it slipped my mind. But yeah, how you said that you really drug your opponent into deep waters, and that's where you really had strength at. And that's like a common theme with military guys and those who have deployed and served overseas is like, you don't want to get into a mental war with that guy.
Yeah.
That guy spent a year straight in the suck. They're willing to outsuffer you.
Yeah. No, man, I saw it with, I was a machine gunner, 0331, and we hiked a bunch, and like, you know, I'm a pack mule, right? I wasn't the biggest guy.
You got the heaviest gun.
We were heavy guns. I put a 50 cal receiver on my back with my pack. Oh. And we would go.
My shoulders, I heard.
And, you know, we did a lot of 10-mile, 15-mile hikes. We did, you know, 25-mile hikes with that stuff. And it's all mental. And once you figure that out and how to like tap into that in your brain, man, not only can you break anyone, but you derive pleasure from watching others break in front of you.
Dude,
you know?
yeah, dude. I'm definitely not as tough as you are, but I've definitely had my fair share of carrying packs. I did assessment and selection for MARSOC, did that whole thing, tried out for a bunch of different stuff, and yeah. You know, in the Marine Corps, it's common to put on an 85-pound pack and hike with it. And for those of you who don't know what that might feel like, it literally feels like someone has 2 giant knives into your shoulders. It feels like, and it never leaves. And you take the pack off for a second, and then you put it. Almost you don't even want to take the pack off.
It's better to just like post up, lean a little bit, maybe like loosen it. Yeah, the worst part is the blisters, man. You know, you get these blisters, it'll be like this big and like this deep, is going into your damn near into your bone on your foot, and but you learn to, you know, you get through that, and then you learn to weaponize it and to use those new special powers that you have.
Right. Well, man, we have so much in common. Both of us were Marines. Both of us have fought MMA. We both compete, coach. And I'm hoping to be a gym owner like you and you know, if I accomplish 10% of what you've done, I'd be really happy. But man, I really appreciate you coming on. And again, I want to be competing like you when I'm 44. And I want to say that I look up to you and thank you a lot for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, man. No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for tuning in.